chimes in here. Oh, that's quick today. Give me one more second. Alrighty. Should be able to see my screen now. We are talking today about email management, and this is all stemming from an intranet post that we created and announced a few weeks ago. A lot, in fact, all this information is going to be on that intranet post, so definitely check that out if you have any questions. Before we get in there, what should you do if you get a lot of emails saying, "What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc?" Anyone? Oh, eat carrots. That's close. But you should check for bugs in your system. Um, I like that one. But it's my birthday. You'll have to humor me, I guess. So why are we focusing on this today? The email, not the bugs jokes or anything. So basically, there are kind of three reasons. So first is we realized that as new employees were starting, we didn't have any set guidelines or standards of what you should do when you're setting up or using email at Cornershop. So we now have those. We're not really going to go over those because you have all started here. But obviously, if people do need a refresher or want even tasks to help, reset up their email or do things, let your supervisor know. We're happy to provide that. Today, we're really going to focus on those second 2 points there, that we identified a bunch of inefficiencies in our communication styles where we just always default to the PM for communication. And we want to really focus, like we can all improve. We always want to see what other people are doing to kind of see how we can improve our own processes and the way we're doing things. So this session is really meant for everybody. It's not like devs, you need to pay attention to this, or PMs, you need to only focus on this. It's really meant to kind of serve and be for everybody. To that second point, we are talking, we've already implemented some things in the digital strategy team that we were finding that a lot of times a developer would say, hey, I have this question. And they'd send it to the PM. The PM would basically rephrase it into, change a bunch of theirs to use or something like that, and then resend it to the client. And then we'd get a response, and then we'd put it in a task or something. And it's pretty inefficient because it often creates delays. It will, kind of pause us and able to kind of move forward and do work. And a lot of times the PM doesn't even understand the technical aspects or questions. So sometimes you can see we're rewriting the question and it's not even the right question to ask. And so what we do think is that, again, we're not changing everything and in every instance, but there are going to be certain instances where it's just a lot more efficient for somebody to say, hey, I can just skip the PM and I'm going to go ask this question to the client directly. Things like that we're going to do, which does mean that all people might be doing a little more email work. We don't want to make this is not going to be a burden. This is not going to be overwhelming. It's not like we're getting rid of PMs to not do it. A lot of messages will still come from PMs. But in those times where it makes sense, where somebody has a relationship, where somebody's doing the work and just needs an answer, it's going to be a lot more effective for that person to just email the client directly and CC the PM so that we're all in the loop. So if this is impacting you or changing your job in any way, it's already been discussed with you. You're probably already doing it. So it's not going to be a huge change for anybody or coming out of blue. Just want to emphasize that. But generally, I think there's a lot that we can be doing to really increase the efficiency around how we're doing a lot of our work through email. So that kind of goes to the when should non-PMs respond. So the most obvious one is quick questions. If you just have something that you're like, hey, this is preventing me, I need a quick question. I've talked to the client before. I know who they are. They knew who I am. I'm going to send them this quick question directly and cut out any additional communication there. If there's confident that work has been completed successfully and no internal QA is required, that's another instance that we want to kind of, again, cut out that PM and just go start directly doing this. We're doing this a lot in our content work, where just our content people are just sending on, hey, I've created this draft for you, please review it here, that kind of thing. Sometimes emails are specifically addressed to you. This is kind of the rarest of situations, but sometimes they're like, hey, Kenji, I have this specific question that only you can answer. And so a lot of our long-term clients, I think, might do that a little bit more. But also, if you have a good relationship with the client based on any of the above as well, if you just want to send those quick questions, that's always a great thing and a very effective approach. If you're not sure who should be replying, just check with the project channel in Slack and just confirm who's responding. We want, as part of this, we kind of want everybody taking more ownership of their projects, especially on the digital strategy side, but really in site build too. So if you see the client site's down or something like that, or you have some questions related to a site, feel free, again, you can post in Slack, say, hey, who's going to be taking the lead on this, so that we have that clear direction. And sometimes it might make sense that it's going to be a non-PM who's going to do it, based on maybe the PM's not even awake yet, or something like that, that it's, somebody's out on the West Coast and somebody sees something early in the morning. So we have lots of kind of different scenarios, but want everybody in general just taking more ownership for our projects and for our client success. And we think by paying attention to email and some of these things, we think that will help with it. In this intranet post, we did include some guidelines for how often people should be checking their email. We've spelled out for a while PMs. This has been on the intranet post for the PMs for years. That basically we should be checking email PM should be checking email every 2 hours and responding to every message within a 24-hour period, except weekends, obviously. And generally, I think that's kind of the goal and the way that we get it. More urgent stuff should be respond within 2 hours as well. We kind of have that spelled out, and PMs have been doing that for a while. On the digital strategy side, we kind of introduced that project lead role, so the person who's doing the majority of work with our retainer clients. And we do still want project leads, if you are related to this, to be at least looking at and checking your email every 4 hours. And again, similarly, if any of those scenarios for when you should be the one responding, to also respond within 24 hours. And then for all employees, we're asking that everybody just check email at least twice a day. I assume usually it's going to be the beginning of the day and the end of the day, and then respond to any direct emails within 24 hours. I think those are going to be incredibly rare. You're probably not going to have very many, but definitely be checking email pretty regularly, so that if something does come through, you'll be able to see it and respond effectively. Also related to this in that intranet post is there are times where it is not appropriate to wait and respond to an email. And sometimes it's just better to pick up the phone. This is things that might turn into discussions of, like, you ask a question and the client responds with, well, I'm not sure, we could do it that way or that way. That's something that then needs to be a discussion and be moved to either a phone call or a Google Meet meeting, maybe put it on our next standing agenda meeting, that kind of thing. If something's urgent or time sensitive, so a client site's down, or they're getting close to launch, or we need credentials in order to move forward. A lot of times we've seen that we just default to, again, emailing back and forth. That can sometimes take days to get things like credentials, when it might just be easier for someone to pick up the phone and say, hey, can you give me those credentials over the phone right now? And things like that are going to be a lot more effective and easier. Obviously, if anything is complex or sensitive information is involved, that's a time to kind of use the phone, so that we're not kind of sharing sensitive details or trying to spend hours describing a complex situation, that we can just get on a phone and talk through it. If there's ever miscommunication, confusion, this I think a lot of times the PMs are already doing, but again, jump on the phone right away, have that face-to-face conversation or something where people can kind of hear it and you can get the tone, you can apologize in person, that kind of stuff. This is, I think, related to credentials, but again, if anything's blocking us from moving forward, we should always jump on that call faster than I think we currently do. Credentials is a great example of that, of we don't get them that first time, let's just jump on a phone and say, hey, I need credentials for this, let's do it together. And then also sometimes when you get clients where email responses might be slow, it's best to pick up a call and do it. So some of those stalled or delayed projects and site builds, jumping in a call and saying like, hey, we've been noticing that you're not responding to emails, what's going on, and even leaving voicemails. Leah just asked, where's the best place to get phone numbers? In our contact sheet, whenever we do have a phone number for a client, we always add it at the beginning of projects. Ideally, PMs and others should be updating that when we get the information. So hopefully, and I would presume that most of our clients' information is in the contact sheet. I've been able to find it in almost all cases. There are a few where, again, as clients have moved virtually as well, I think that's become a little harder, and some aren't publishing or publicizing their direct phone numbers. But you can also ask as PMs, when you're starting a project, if you notice we don't have a phone number, you can just ask directly for that. Hey, I don't have your phone number, I would like to give you a call. And honestly, people usually respond quickly to those types of emails of, hey, what's your phone number? So yeah, thanks for sharing the sheet. So as I mentioned, we really don't want this to be a burden or overwhelming on people. And managing inboxes can be overwhelming, especially if you're looking at it multiple times a day and things like that. Or if I'm now responsible for responding to questions that somebody's emailing somebody question, we don't want that situation to be that you're constantly looking at email and take you away from other stuff. And so there are a bunch of techniques and tactics that you can use to make sure that it is effective. So this is just in the default Gmail, but use labels. There's great labeling functionality. There are filters to filter out your noise. I have a filter that removes all of the everyone at and removes all of the Progressive Exchange email listservs that I get. I enabled priority inbox, so all of this, not spam, but all of the bulk emails that I get from clients get put somewhere else. Or yeah, those Kinsta overnight emails, that's a great one. I have a dedicated one for Kinsta emails that goes into a label and filters out of my inbox. And then there's also, great ways of I always encourage archiving emails you don't need to see right away. So just checking that box and click archive right away for those kind of things. There are great other tools in there of snoozing emails or scheduling them. Those are really, really helpful. Skipping down below that, there's ways to enable notifications, especially for priority clients or specific emails. So if you're a developer who sent an email to a specific client, set up a filter or a notification for that client immediately after you send that email or before, so that you can be notified when the client responds. And so there's nice ways of doing that. I always disable notifications for all messages because that can be overwhelming in my, especially on your phone if you have that connected there, to get a notification for everything. Basically, it's just too much noise. So I prefer going selective and saying, hey, these are the clients I'm actively working on right now. I'm going to get priority notifications. So I don't even have to pay attention to my inbox. I'm just going to get those notifications when those clients email me. And then I'll be alerted as opposed to having to regularly check it. There are other keyboard shortcuts and templates that are really useful. Leslie's going to talk to you about templates in just a second and show off some of hers, but we'll get there in just a moment. So the last part of the intranet post really focused on how to send good emails. And so we wanted to provide some resources for all of you to make sure that we're writing effective and clear and strong emails. So definitely, even if you're a pro at writing emails, a lot of our PMs, check out some of these resources, use some of these templates, as they're really helpful and effective to make sure that we're just very clear in what we want. Really, these first two are the most important points for me, is just use really clear subject lines for what you're looking for. And then also just being as brief and to the point as possible. That is something that I think is really, we can overwhelm clients, or I think that's why we don't get replies sometimes, is if we're not clear exactly, this is what I need from you, here's the situation, this is what I need from you, this is when I need it by. Stating it like that is a lot clearer and sets the right definition for how you want people to respond. But generally, it kind of follows these guidelines of having a friendly greeting, clearly explaining your purpose, providing all the details, so the extra meat of this is why, and then restating what you need and when you need it by, and then usually having some sort of friendly closing as well. So we include a few different templates within the intranet post that kind of will get you there. So again, this is a great one. It's got that clear subject line of questions about request. Dear first name, hope all's going well. That's friendly. I was getting started on task, but had a quick question I want to run by you first. And then I always encourage listing questions or providing a bullet list here of this is what's going on. Please let me know your thoughts. I'm hoping to work on this on date so that it gives them a strong deadline. And then if you need to discuss anything, just let me know. Again, another friendly closing. So there's some great templates in there that you can use and repurpose, and that will kind of help you get started and move things forward quickly. So with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Leslie. I'm going to stop sharing, but it says Gmail templates with Leslie.
And I will start sharing. Let's see. I'm going to share this screen. Can I get a thumbs up from somebody when you see my Gmail? Excellent. So what you're seeing is my inbox, and I'm going to show you how I use templates. I write a lot of emails that are very similar to one another, enough that I actually worry sometimes that I might get caught in spam, because I'm like, hey, thanks for sending me your RFP. That's great. Looks like it's right down our alley. And then I just say the exact same thing. But let me show you, one of my favorites is actually a template that I use to write to Annie when we get a commitment from a client saying that they do want to hire us. So the way that you use templates in Gmail is these three little dots. You go to templates. The way that you start a template is you write an email you like, and then you click those three little dots, click templates, and at the bottom, you'll see save draft as template. That allows you to save an email you really like. Once you have saved it, then you can come in here and pick it over and over and just put in your information. So I have tons of templates that I use, as you can see from this list, and I've used them for several years now, ongoing. Here's another one that I use where I am following up with people about whether or not they have signed up for maintenance and support, and how I can convince them to do so if they haven't, or what they can expect if they have. What's great about these is it lets you craft that perfect email one time, and then it gives you that starting place, kind of like an AI bot does, that you can come in here and say, oh, this one isn't exactly right for this customer. So say I want it to be 60 days instead of 30 days. If you make that kind of change and say, actually, we've changed our policy to be 60 days from now on, you can go and resave this template over the other one. So say that I wanted to update that one there. And it's really quite intuitive that way. As you can tell, you can have as many templates saved as you want. To me, it just saves a ton of time. So that is my quick tip for y'all.
Sweet, thanks, Leslie. And what I love about templates as well is it doesn't have, like, some of those were like the full email. Some of them are also like, I have like some disclaimers that I put in there, like the 20% variance on estimate. I just have like a single line that I like toss into almost every email, so they can be used for
good call. So what Ira is explaining here is it's not going to replace your entire email with that template. It's going to inject whatever's in the template. So you could have a single paragraph. You could have, say you have a specific sign off that you want to do for some clients but not other clients. That could be a template. So it could prove to save a bunch of time for you.
Yeah, thanks, Leslie.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you want to talk about SparkMail?
Sure. So I, in general, hate the Gmail interface for a number of reasons. Just to give you an example, the one on the right is if I just looked at my email in Gmail, and on the right is in Spark. So I'm gonna go ahead and hide that ugly Gmail interface. So Spark is just a mail application that you sync with your Google account. And it has all of the features that Leslie and Ira mentioned, like templates, scheduling emails, other things like that, but presents it in a much nicer way, at least for my brain, along with some additional features. So from the purely like interface approach, emails are much more organized. So it will actually group them based on when you receive some. So like here are the 2 emails that I got last week that I've kept in my inbox because I need to take some action. Here are all the emails I've gotten today. And as you can see with the little orange text right here, I've essentially snoozed it. So I set Spark to say, hey, remind me about this email next week when I can deal with it. So I love that little feature. I use it snoozing heavily in Slack as well. And also in the inbox, it'll group emails by kind of like categories of like aspects. So like all of my notifications from Google Docs show up here. All of my, it calls it newsletters, but essentially this is all of my Slack or my Smartsheet notifications. It'll group calendar invites and replies and a whole host of other things. So just from a pure inbox standpoint, it makes me happier to look at this than it does looking at Gmail. The other thing that I really like from the viewing standpoint is I use filters and labels a lot. And in the standard Gmail interface, it'll just list all of your labels. I can actually star the labels that I care about here. So I'm only looking at a portion of them rather than however many hundreds I have. And the second or the third part of the interface that I really like is I don't have to have my calendar opened up in a different tab. Please ignore all of this purple. This is my life. So I can easily toggle between my calendar and my inbox rather than having to have like multiple tabs open or something like that. So the added feature of Spark, which you actually only get in Spark, regular Spark for free, it is, they do have also built-in AI tools, which are really, really great. Not only can you generate a reply, so like if I click generate reply, I could basically say, you know, please answer these questions to let her know we'll be in touch. And it will generate it based on your prompt and what is in the email. You can also, you know, expand or shorten or even rewrite the tone of the email all within the app. And it does base this off of emails that you have previously sent. So it'll try to match the tone to how you typically write emails, which I love because ChatGPT doesn't necessarily know how I write. The other thing that I actually don't have turned on is this quick reply feature. If we go into settings, there's this quick AI reply, which will have kind of like predefined buttons for quick replies, almost like templates, but light, if you will. So that I haven't played around with that very much, but could be helpful, especially if you get a lot of emails. So yeah, Gmail to me is just the vector at which emails come in, but I really like the Spark desktop app. It gives me kind of like a central command for everything. I will also say the mobile app is a lot nicer. All of these features are in the mobile app and gives me, again, less anxiety from all of the many emails, as well as some additional helpful tools to make managing all of this easier. With people using this, it'll actually know like who else in your Google Workspace has signed up for an account. So this is one thing I forgot to share, but if multiple people are using this, we can actually share it with team members. So like I think Chelsea and looks like Marissa has played around with it before. So you can invite people to an email thread, you can delegate it to them. And then I also like that I can create a hyperlink natively to the email thread. I know that you can do that with Gmail, but it's not necessarily built into the platform. So again, this just cuts down on my tool fragmentation to give me that central command. So it's free to try out. Again, you don't get the AI tools, but this is like my go-to for all email, especially for work.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. And I will say that there is a free version of SparkMail if people are interested in trying or using that. I personally like the Gmail, so I'll like rival Sarah for I think that the Gmail is just as good. And if people do want that kind of share emails via a URL, there's a great Chrome extension with it's Cloud HQ, I think is what it's called. Yeah, that will let you do that as well. So I know we only have a few minutes, but I do want to turn it over to Se-Young to talk through some of the work she's done with summarizing and sharing emails with ChatGPT. So.
Awesome. I have 3 small examples of how to use ChatGPT for your emails. So the first one is email proofreading. I have a lot of typos in my emails, I've noticed, and I don't like proofreading. So every time there's a big important email going out, I always ask ChatGPT to quickly make changes. And ChatGPT does a exact revised version. And usually a lot of the things that it does is focus on bullet points and reformatting items, even if my copy doesn't have formatting. So just copying and pasting this directly into your inbox works for a revised and clearer message. But I personally like learning from what ChatGPT has to say. So I said, instead of rewriting the email, please list the suggestions so that I can make them myself. And this way I'm able to really see what my inconsistencies are. So here it's saying I have multiple date versions. Sometimes I use TH and sometimes it's just a straight number. It talks about sentence structure, some punctuation, mistakes that I make, and I know that it's consistently a comma thanks to ChatGPT kind of calling it out every time I paste it in here. So if you are writing more emails, I would just quickly do a copy and paste, at least in the first few emails that you're sending out to clients, especially when they're longer, to see what the exact patterns that you're making during email writing are. This is a good one for people who, or what Ira mentioned of a strategist or a developer writes you notes, and then you have to go in manually and update like the client to you and rewrite that. So what I did, which worked really well last week, is these are notes from Marissa about the sitemap and what we did, what Marissa's reasoning was for the changes that she made. And to be honest, I did not even read Marissa's comments at first. I just pasted it in here and said, please write an email to the client delivering this message. And ChatGPT did a really great job breaking down all of the links, sectioning it out, and then it went ahead and made key changes and recommendations. So before I read Marissa's notes, I actually read ChatGPT's email, and then I went back to Marissa's notes and saw if ChatGPT interpreted it correctly, and it did a perfect job. There was nothing that I was to fix from a logical standpoint. So that was very helpful. So if you ever have to do some sort of translations across teams, so developer to PM or PM to developer, I think this is a really good example of ChatGPT kind of being the translator. The other one from writing emails from notes is just, can you write me an email telling a client that we cannot meet their September deadline if they don't give us materials by this week? Like, that's a very big ask, and I didn't want to sit down and craft an email from scratch. And so ChatGPT did give me a really good template, And I didn't use this word for word, but it was a good starting point for me to modify and kind of deliver this news to the client. And the client took it pretty well. So that was another success from ChatGPT. This one is an interesting one. It ties back to what Leslie was talking about with the templates, but I actually trained this specific ChatGPT to use my getting started discovery phase for a certain project. This is the discovery phase email that we send out after the kickoff call. And I've gone ahead and I highlighted what they should make into a template. So here at the end, they give me prompts for me to fill out. And once I type in all my prompts, it'll fill in that template and give me the finalized version. So I can Command V this. This is just a bunch of things I filled out in advance. And then ChatGPT, if it's working well, will fill everything in for me without me having to actually rewrite the email. So this is a quick, handy tool. So if you have a ton of emails that are templated and there's just really simple prompts to fill out every time, I think this is a good way to start training ChatGPT to work with templates as well. And yeah, and I don't really have to do anything here. I just need to copy and paste it. It also works with links. So I just put google.com. But if I clicked on these various links, it would go directly to whatever URL I inserted. And that's it. And if there are any more ways that you want to see how I've been using, I have like a whole brain dump section here where I've been talking to ChatGPT for many, many months over the past few months to really try to craft my emails and finalize using ChatGPT as an email tool.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing those examples. I would love to hear more. I know I was hoping we could open this up to others and questions, things like that. If you have any direct questions, please come to me. I'm happy to discuss those. I want to use this as a reminder to encourage people to use the productivity channel, that if you're doing any of these things that you think might be useful or beneficial to the team, post them in there. If you're not a member of that channel, do it. And then the last thing that I'll just say about AI tools is, since a lot of this did focus on that and we're investing in more and utilizing it more, if people do want some of those AI features, again, let us know. We do have that shared ChatGPT account. If you're using it on a regular daily basis, we're not opposed to getting separate licenses for certain people, or built into Google as well is Google's Gemini, which has some of those features just built into Gmail using Google's tool there. And so to kind of have that, it's really expensive. It would like triple our costs to Google. So we're not like just by default turning it on for everybody, but it does, it seems the internet seems to suggest that we can turn it on for just certain individuals, which if that's the case, certainly people who do utilize some of these features more regularly, we're happy to kind of turn those on for them, if assuming that's accurate. So gonna look into that some more and see if there are some possibilities, but yeah, that is kind of what we had today. So definitely take a look at the internet post. If you need any time for resetting things up or thinking about these more, talk with your supervisor. But we think a lot of these changes, a lot of these tools can help improve the way that we're all working and spend less time on the boring stuff and the stuff that people actually pay us to do. So excited to move forward with those, and really thank you to Sarah, Leslie, and Se-Young for these amazing ideas and ways that you're currently using email. So thank you all very much. And with that, have a great day.